Hey Lisa, how are you?
Hi, Holly. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm so excited to have this conversation today. And I would love for you to just start with a little bit of background about your business and what you do and who you do it for.
Awesome. So what I do, my business is called Birch Solutions, right? I've been in the tech and marketing industry for over 20 years.
Wow.
Birch Solutions is about, I want to say 5 years old now. And really it has been, I got the bug um, early on with the Target ads when I was a kid. I
Oh yeah.
wanted to work for Target and put together those ads. That was my big thing. And it stuck with me throughout college. So when I went to college, it was for advertising and
Okay.
marketing.
Yep.
My degree in that, and then that's right when the tech industry started booming, right? The tech boom.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into my very first tech startup,
Wow.
and their condition was, hey, whatever you build, whatever you can sell, you can build. And when you tell that to a 20-something-year-old who's like geeking out like crazy, I was selling websites to businesses who didn't even have a computer yet, right? Because this is right when computers were starting to
Yeah.
come out.
Be a thing.
I don't want to age myself or anything. Oh, but it was so interesting. It was really cool. And touchscreen kiosks, before anybody even knew what a touchscreen kiosk was. It was super fun. But there's a dark side to the tech startup world, at least there was back in the day, where it's a startup.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get paid
Mm.
hardly anything. So everything that I was doing out of love and passion and just
Right.
wanting to learn, right?
Pay your bills with passion.
Right. And then the day came when my family came to me and they said, honey, do you remember you have student loans to pay? And so off I went into the corporate land. And the coolest thing was it was perfect timing because they were just getting started with their technology and trying to figure out how to evolve their business to fit with what was coming, right? They could see things coming and changing on the horizon. So I was involved in so many different fun, exciting launches of different
Cool.
products. And so it evolved into other tech startups and consulting, and I landed on Birch Solutions because everybody started learning about my background, and they're like, hey, can you just take a quick look at my website and tell me
Just
what
a
I'm doing?
5 minute
Or do you
questions.
think that I have a website, but it's not doing anything for me? What's wrong with it? So here I am.
Yeah. So who specifically do you work with, and what is it you offer in Birch Solutions?
The biggest group is women coaches,
Mm-hmm.
usually.
Yeah.
They're the high performers who are doing everything they can to step up and serve their tribe, right? But on the back end, they're not tech savvy.
Mm.
I mean, they'll do as much as they can and get as far as they can with their technology, and then they're just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's good enough,
Sounds familiar.
and we're just gonna let it ride. And then the day comes when it's not working anymore. The duct tape has broken, and they really need to do a deeper dive and fix those pieces
Mm-hmm.
to go to that next level.
Yeah.
And that's usually where I get the phone call of, okay, so what do I need to do?
Yeah. So really putting actual solid systems in place instead of just
Yes.
that fly by the seat of your pants mentality.
So when they go in and they meet with a client, everything from that point on, or when a lead comes in, everything is tracked and they know exactly what to do. And it makes their lives so much easier so that they can spend more time serving and less time trying to figure out which checkbox to click or what system is holding their new contacts or whatever.
So really trying to streamline things from being really manual, which is ultimately then taking up way too much time. And with no system, you can't even outsource or delegate, right? You can't actually hand it over to someone else because you're like, I don't know, it's kind of all in my head. I make it up as I go.
Exactly. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The first 30 days of me is fairly painful as I make you go through and tell me exactly how everything works, and I learn what systems that you have in place. And what I find a lot of times there's duplication.
Mm.
You're paying for several different services that you could just do one
Overlap,
service and it would cover those things, but not knowing everything that's available to them in those services.
Yeah. And it's such a minefield, right? There's so many different pieces of software out there. And I think if we're not tech savvy or even have an appetite to be tech savvy, like I am not techie, I will put my hands up and say that. And it's not my passion to become techie either. So I don't have that kind of burning desire to really get myself up to speed on different systems and software unless I have to, because it's just not enjoyable to me. I would rather spend my time doing other things. But ultimately, as you say, cornerstone to any successful business to be able to actually scale and be sustainable. So am I right in assuming then you're typically working with clients one-on-one?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are correct with that.
And so what is kind of next step for, or next level for Birch Solutions, and what would you most like to get out of our time together today?
Ooh, I love that question. I don't know if you've seen it, but there is a big push for my online Rockstar Mastermind course.
Cool.
So, well, it's 90 days, and you get me for 90 days to help you set up at least your foundational pieces, right? So your website is actually talking to your clients and making sure that your potential clients or your visitors stick around long enough to fill out maybe some sort of lead gen, right? So you can reach back out to them, and making sure that that then matches up with what you're posting on social media. So it's all speaking the same language for you. And then we get to do that 90 days together. So that's a group program. So what I'm trying to do is pivot from a little bit more from the one-on-one, because once a client comes in one-on-one, they usually stay with me forever, right? And there's only one of me. And my team can grow, but it still takes me to go in and dig through the systems to figure out and plan it out and then hand it off to whomever to take care of it. So there's still only so much time in the day. So this goal is to take these entrepreneurs, these business people, the coaches, the consultants, and help them create an experience online that supports their business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so how can I support you best today with all of that amazing stuff?
I think it would be super fun, if you're up for it, to give me your feedback on this mastermind that I launched.
Cool.
That'd be cool?
That's absolutely cool. So tell me a little bit more about who specifically it's for.
Coaches, consultants, and service providers.
At what stage of their business?
Their teenager stage.
Okay.
So, well, you know, the baby stage is you're just kind of figuring things out and you really don't have a whole lot of money, right? And you don't have a lot of resources and you're still trying to figure out what it is that you're selling people, right? The teenager stage, you've made some sales. So you understand now kind of who it is that you want to serve. It's a lot easier to put together a website and a full funnel or a sales process around once you have an idea of what you're selling, what people actually want. To pull those pieces together. So I usually term it as the teenager stage, right? You've had some wins and now you're ready to take it to that next level.
And are they typically at a certain income level?
A certain income level would be at least 6 figures.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So female coaches, consultants, service-based businesses at the 6-figure mark who are kind of at probably a bit of an income plateau. Where they know how to get the 6 figures every year, but they don't know how to move beyond that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And they're struggling because now and we've all been there, you know, where you get to the certain point and suddenly things shift in your business where it's not the same thing that has worked for you the past 6 months don't seem to be working anymore because there's a shift in you, your mindset, your business, the way that you're setting yourself up, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just making sure that when you do that those pieces follow you, right? The foundational pieces that you need to have in place so you can keep moving.
And as you were saying, you hit a certain capacity, if you're still doing the same thing and the same offers the same way, then there's only so much of that you can do unless you're in a position to then scale those offers to reach a wider audience. And if the lead gen side of things isn't systemized as well, then, you know, there's only so much showing up and being visible that attracts enough people to you, because then you've kind of exhausted your pool of people without bringing new ones in. So for me to give you the most helpful feedback, tell me, what are kind of your biggest burning questions that you have around your mastermind and the next steps to fill it?
My biggest burning questions around my mastermind and my next steps. Well, there's two things that happened, right? So the first time that we talked, it was just getting launched.
Yep.
And I launched it because so many people, I tried to do a one-day mastermind. Here's something interesting. I did a one-day mastermind where we would cover the majority of the stuff that I'm doing in the 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback that I got from everybody was, it's too much stuff in one day. I don't think that I can do all the things that you are offering in that one day, right? And it was just helping them work through that process and create a game plan.
Yeah.
So I extended it to 90 days so that each piece we can take care of together, right?
Yep.
Which is way more time and 30 days dedicated to each piece of their system. So the question for you is, for your masterminds, have you found the secret time frame that has worked for entrepreneurs that you serve? Is there a secret time frame? I mean, is 90 days too long? I have people signing up, but now I'm wondering, is 90 days too long? I mean, at the end of 25 days, are they still, I mean, we can move on and we can end it early, I suppose, but is that too long to go for a mastermind? Okay. And I'm in the middle of it right now, which is crazy.
So with the first time of launching any program, there's always going to be some test and learn, right? There's going to be some experimentation. You're going to evolve and tweak and finesse the next time you do it. So the first time is very much that pilot stage where there's going to be a lot of things that you don't know until you do it. This is where obviously tuning into the audience and getting their feedback consistently throughout the experience is also going to be really, really valid and important. But really, when you're thinking about the time frame, what you want is you want them to be able to get some quick wins and you want them to be able to get some longer term wins. So what are the kind of the immediate things they can put in place literally from the first couple of weeks to feel that they're getting that momentum? Yes, this was totally worth my investment. I've got some tangibles in place. But equally, you know, these systems, the whole purpose and the point of them, from what you were saying before, is to shift gears over the longer term, to actually take them, you know, from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures and beyond, to take them from an audience of this size to an audience of that size. So that's not necessarily going to happen in just a few weeks, right? You're laying the foundations to facilitate that over a longer period of time. So with that in mind and knowing what you do and knowing the quick wins they'll get immediately, what do you think by the end of 90 days they could have that will start also demonstrating the new trajectory that ultimately they invested in the first place?
Yeah, that's a great question. The big goal, even before the 90 days, is they start growing their leads right away. Within 30 days, they're launching their new refreshed website or launching a website. There are some folks out there that still don't have a website because they don't have time to put one together, right? And so they're posting on social media, they're doing all these things, but there's a piece that's missing. And that is, you know, whether you don't have a website or you do have a website, within 30 days, that website is launched. And I teach everybody how to launch that properly so they get the most momentum off of that website that they can possibly get. Within 60 days, they're launching their lead generator, right? 1, 2, 3. So the lead generator comes into play. So then they can talk about the excitement around that. And then the third one is planning out their social media. And I have a specific way that I help my clients plan out their social media so they don't get stuck in the muck. And what I've been finding with people that I've been talking to is, you know, the high achievers go to the seminars, they go to the workshops, right, to learn everything that they can to put in place the proper things, right? And what they hear is, you need to be on all these platforms. You need to post at least 50 times a day. You need to do 30 lives. You got to do all these things, right? And it's overwhelming. So I've created a system that allows them to show up the way that they want to show up and need to show up for their business without killing them. If that's
good. Always a bonus to not die at the end of it.
Right. So at the end of 30 days, they have a clear plan to implement, to know exactly how they're showing up and what channels specifically they should show up on. So they don't have to post out on Twitter if their audience isn't there.
Right.
Right. They're just showing up on the platforms that make sense for them, where their audience is sitting.
Where they can create a real connection with that level of intimacy that's required to actually bring in the higher ticket sales too. Okay, so as you've been talking through that, what are you now recognizing with regards to the 90-day time frame? How is that feeling?
I think it feels perfect, actually.
Okay, good.
Because even though my struggle is, we can always do it faster. But that I have to, my mindset is I have to get out of the one-on-one client factor that I've been working in, where we always get things done a lot faster, right? I move very quickly. They're not touching anything. I just go in and make everything happen, and then we're launching, right?
Right.
So I have to give the time that is needed for them to work through some of the process. Absolutely. So a website in 30 days seems like a lifetime to me. For others, it seems like a very short period of time.
Especially if they're right now at a point where they have no website or bare bones of a website, or just don't even go on their website. 30 days from now, that's a really nice focused time frame that feels really actionable, but that feels really exciting. And ultimately what you're shifting here from is the done for you one-on-one to done with you group program. And that means this has also got to fit in around them, their existing capacity, them delivering their services to their clients, right? They're learning new things. So I totally get the want to kind of go in and just make it all happen yesterday because you can, and you're that one who can fast track it. But equally, if you are going to set these people up for success in the long term, they have to understand it themselves. That's the point of it, right? That they're actually, it's going to be something that they do themselves, they outsource and never know how to touch. They don't even know how to log into the software or whatever it is, or they just trust someone else in the team totally, because they don't even have to edit something themselves. They know how to, but you are actually equipping them with a skill set that builds a business model. And I think the key is that a lot of people are running a business without a business model. So what I love about this is that the 90 days is really nicely structured into those 3 components, where they're going to see wins every 30 days. And then they're going to have this blueprint upon which they're simply going to build, because now they know they have the cogs in place, and it's simply a case of continuing to fuel that system. And ultimately then it's going to take care of itself, and it's going to become an autopilot. But the question about, is that too long? Going through that process of learning all these new skills, which to you are just like second nature, that's where they want someone to reach out to and ask the questions. That's where they want to be able to go to a forum and say, this happened and I got this message and I have no freaking clue what to do about it. Or I've been trying to and it's not working and I don't know what they have to do. And, all that frustration that goes through that. And that's where you're going to be that person, that go-to that helps them break it down, but also gives them that buzz of excitement that, oh my God, I figured it out myself. And now I know how to do this. And we've got the sense of control and ownership that they have as a result of that is so empowering.
Yes. Because if I had $1 for every time somebody called me with their hair on fire saying, I just hired a web designer for $15,000 and I can't get a hold of them, my site is down, and I don't think that they even finished what they started, and blah, blah. I get those phone calls all the time.
$15,000.
And so we take a step back, we take a look at everything that's going on, and we get it fixed. And we usually get it fixed that day, because at the end of the day, I'm your geek.
Yeah. And we all need a geek.
Those kinds of things make me go, ooh, that's awesome. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
And I don't give up until we do get it fixed. And so that's what's so exciting for me, is they're going through this. They'll have the power to go in and know exactly why they're set up the way they are, have the system set up the way that they need to. They can hand it off to an assistant, but they're still in ultimate control. It's like your finances, right?
Right.
You have a CPA, you hand off your stuff, but you still need to know your numbers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You still need to understand your website. You don't have to be so techie geeky, but you have to understand the purpose behind it.
If there was no one else available, you could still make the change yourself if push came to shove, right? I think it's that sense of powerlessness where it's like, I don't even know how to tweak this, and I've got a launch tomorrow and it's live and my VA's on holiday or whatever it might be. We've all had those moments. And it does feel like that sense of being out of control, which is horrible. So I love that this program is really putting them in the driver's seat. It's putting them in the CEO role so that while they are going to get into the nuts and bolts for this period of time, for this 90-day sprint, so to speak, they're not then going to stay in the nuts and bolts. They're going to actually be liberated to focus on the things that only they can focus on as the leader of their business, i.e. the strategy, i.e. the relationship building, i.e. the sales, the connection, the creation, that right now they're probably held back from, as you're saying, because they're stuck in the nitty gritty of, oh my gosh, I've got these manual spreadsheets and no system and no process and nothing is happening seamlessly. And therefore I don't have time to go and pitch to that podcast to be on that, for that interview. I don't have time to create the new program that I've had an idea about for 3 years or whatever it might be.
Yes, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. The big thing about that, and I think the key point that you said, is that they don't have time to do all these things because they're working on a piece of their website or their piece of their marketing. The big thing for me and for Birch Solutions, what we've put together is several worksheets actually that help people really identify what it is that they want to step in as, right? Where were you? Where are you, and where do you want to be, kind of thing. So they can really work through that process. So when they're refreshing their website, it really comes out as a whole new, they can create anything that they want, right? And how they want to position it. But when they take that time to really think it through and write it out and think about how they want to position themselves, once that piece gets really clear, especially with their website, the lead gen flows very easily because now you're super hyper focused. You understand because you've done the work, right? The social media becomes even easier because the first two are in place. So you know exactly how you're positioning yourself and exactly how you want to show up. It's just beautiful how those, and your eyebrows are going up like, yes.
Because I love it. It just all makes so much sense. And I just think, yeah, it's a perfect fit. And I love that, you've shifted from, oh, it's 90 days too long, I don't know what the right time frame is, to, no, 90 days is perfect.
Yes, I think it is. Now that we've talked through it, I think it is, because even though I'm in the middle of this launch, part of me was wondering, is it too long? Is it too long of a time frame? Will I lose them halfway through? But they need the time to focus.
Yeah.
Especially on the website piece, because that is the foundation for the other pieces that we're building onto.
And stuff is going to come up, stuff is going to come up along the way, and that's where the discussion points will happen. I think something you can also consider doing is setting little mini bite-sized challenges throughout those 90 days, around those topics of the website, or around the social media, around the lead gen, and actually have them have specific tasks to be working towards as well. I think that also keep momentum. But honestly, what I tend to find is that people just want more of you. So, if you're as kick-ass as it sounds like you are, then they're going to be getting to the end of the 90 days and being like, I don't want to stop having this contact with Lisa. Like, what's the next way that I can continue, getting this, go-to support, the geek in my pocket, whatever we call it, people crave that high touch. I think more and more and more these days, people are craving high touch. Like, we can all admit to buying a laundry list of online courses and self-study that we don't open. It's the sense of community and connection where we're getting that feedback, the soundboard, the personalized strategy. That's what we want, and that's what we show up for, and that's what we commit to. I think the other thing with, worrying about losing them across the 90 days is just to make sure that the price point is right. And by that, I mean, what is the price point that's going to really ensure that they invest in a way that they're committed to getting the most out of it? Because if this is whatever, it's just a couple of $1,000 or whatever it might be, and that doesn't mean a whole lot to them, it's not a skin in the game type of investment to them, it doesn't make their underpants feel a bit tighter, then, it's kind of take it or leave it if I show up to the calls, if I show up in the group and become visible. So I think it's also understanding, what is the level of investment that feels like a true commitment to getting this right for their business. And it's something that they're going to invest in to help grow their business.
You want to know the price?
Sure.
$4,000.
Okay. So how do you feel like, is that an easy sell right now for your audience?
I don't even know. And the reason why I don't even know is because I have people coming on. So I have the first 5 that have come on, right? But on, what day are we on in launch? So we launched on Black Friday. It is now Sunday because I'm in Minnesota. So we're 3 days in, and
already 5 sales. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, but it's like today there was crickets. I didn't see one sign up today, and I was like, well, that's interesting to me.
That's also a Sunday.
Why did we stall? The doors close tomorrow.
Oh wow, so you've got a very short launch window.
A very short launch window because we start December 9th. My goal is, and here's the kicker. Most people take off between Thanksgiving and the New Year's, right? Most business owners. They take off to spend with their family.
Yeah.
My big thing is use that time wisely. You can still spend time with your family, but guess what? Everybody else is taking off that time. It's the quietest time in business as possible. Right. So use that time wisely. Let's build it. So come the new year, you can shine your light and say, hey, look what I did. While everybody else is doing the Hallmark Christmas specials, I'm launching this website, right?
And not then take the whole month of January to actually get going, right?
Yes.
Which I think is the typical scenario. It's like, oh, we finally get up to speed again and with momentum by the end of Jan. So how many people do you want in your program?
There's enough for 20 seats.
Okay. So, I mean, you don't have to be rigid on the launch close window. That could be when, for example, this price point ends, the early bird offer. It could be when certain bonuses come to a close, but there's still an opportunity for you to extend that launch period to fill more spots. And I think one of the things that came into my head right at the beginning as a potential idea for you to do that, if you like doing the in-person one-day masterminds or even a half-day mastermind, is you could laser focus in on one component of this program and do that as an event. It could even be a virtual event where people get a taste of 4, as I said, those kind of short-term wins, that immediate gratification of, oh yes, now I have something in place, but also planting that seed of possibility for what that could mean moving forwards if you got all of your systems in place and your business was actually running like a well-oiled machine.
Oh, yes.
Because what we want is we want to give people a taster. The way I always describe it is like, we want to give them the canapé. If you try and fit in the full buffet in that one day, they're going to leave full, right? They're going to leave so full, they can't move, and all they want to do is lie down on the couch. Whereas if you just give them a little taste and a little appetizer, a little canapé, and they're like, oh, that was yummy, and I liked it, and I wonder what this part tastes like and that part tastes like, and we're creating that information gap of wanting more, but also knowing that it's good quality service they got because they've actually had it exposed to, and for real, because it was an actual masterclass, training, live event, whatever it is you do, they see you in action, not just on a Facebook Live showing some how-tos, or not just, showing up in their inbox, but actually you in their pocket for a day. Oh my gosh, imagine Lisa in my pocket for 90 days and the transformation that I could achieve during that period of time. So for me, I think if you're up for it and if you're wanting to fill those 20 spots, that could be the next step focus, and then you upsell into the program from there.
Okay.
How does that feel to you?
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
This is, what's so funny is this is my year first because I have enjoyed so much time here behind the computer screen because this is my happy place. I mean, even going to Puerto Rico was a whole new world for me. And so my thought is just keep going, this whole group program is a whole new element that I am wrapping my arms around, kind of doing okay, how is this going to shake out?
Yeah.
So I'm totally going to try it because that's what this year is all about.
Amazing. That's awesome. And I think $4,000 for 90 days is a really good price.
Yeah, because if you hired me to do all those things, it would cost you around $15,000.
Right. And I think that's where you position it as well. Okay. So that people are going to not only get you in their pocket for a fraction of the price of what it is to be a one-on-one client. And by the way, you have a big in-demand wait list, but you're actually going to be independent because you're going to know how to do this stuff for yourself. Because like you say, you know, your clients stay with you for life, which is wonderful. But there's also women out there who want to be able to do it for themselves. You know, they want to be able to kind of have that fierce sense of independence in their business, want to have that control in their business. And that's what you're gifting them. And this is a gift. So I think that's really, really strong and really powerful. I think there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of amazing potential with this. And with regards to the group program overall, given that this is a first for you, set yourself the vision for where you want to be at the end of that 90 days. Like, what do you want to have learned? What do you want to have experienced? What do you want to take out of it? And what do you want to learn from it that will help you for the next round?
I love that.
One final thought before we wrap up. Another way, if you're worrying, oh, you know, how do I keep things going for 90 days or how do I keep it interesting for 90 days? I honestly think you've got so much incredible, valuable stuff that will more than fill 90 days. But another opportunity as well is to bring in guest experts that complement what you do. And it can just be nice to have a fresh voice in there as well in the mix. So I always have guest experts in my programs because, you know, I'm not an expert of everything and no one should attempt to be, but also I just think it's nice to hear different styles, different perspectives, you know, a different voice. And my clients always get so much out of those sessions as well. So that's another potential opportunity. It also helps you kind of share the load. And there'll be lots of different people I think that you could position very strategically around what it is you're doing. You're doing the kind of back-end system structure. You know, there's also all kinds of other things that come into the mix with website, social media, lead gen. So that could be another option.
Love that. Ooh, that's great.
Awesome. So I'd love to hear what are your biggest takeaways, ahas from our chat today? What are you taking away from this? What are you feeling more confident in?
The first thing that I wrote down is geek in your pocket. When you said that, I was like, oh, that's so true. I love that. So I've been calling it your geeky, your geeky sidekick. But I kind of like the geek in your pocket. It rolls off the tongue better. So I might just start using that.
Cool.
I like, also a huge aha was putting challenges in around each month or each topic. So as we're doing the website, putting challenges in. And I might even do like extra added bonuses because
totally.
Sometimes I've noticed, and even I do this in groups, I just kind of sit back and I watch. Because being a techie, I'm not like, hey guys, I've never been like that, right? So to motivate them to engage and become more, I don't know, interactive within the group, maybe I'll throw in some bonuses or prizes for folks. You know, the first one to show their homepage gets whatever, right? So it will motivate them to move closer. I love that. And then your masterclass that I have to start working on today.
Yeah. And you can do this virtually if it's the easiest, quickest way to do it. You know, this could still be a Cyber Monday offer, right?
Yep.
So this could be slash priced opportunity to work with you behind the scenes of how you work with your one-on-one clients who pay $15K for your expertise. And in this session, they're going to get this one specific outcome. And I think the challenge is to laser focus yourself in on one thing. Don't try and, as I said, give away the buffet. What's the canapé?
What is the biggest, so let me ask you, what would be the biggest value to you?
Out of all the things that you do?
Yeah. What feels like the biggest value?
I think the most immediate thing that people always feels the most pressing concern is anything to do with lead gen. If you think about it, without leads, we don't have sales. So all the other things are absolutely 100% valuable. They will eliminate our time. They will streamline the structure, blah, 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 allow us to grow. But if you think about the biggest burning problem that most people have on a day-to-day basis is how do I reach more people? How do I reach more people? How to reach more people? And I don't have time to reach more people. So for me, I would always go for the most pressing thing.
Okay.
And then remember that sense of immediate gratification on now I can explode my list come Jan. like how amazing would that be? So that's probably where I'd focus in.
Okay. That's what I'm doing then.
Does that help?
It does. Thanks, Holly.
Good, you're welcome. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen, and I'm so thrilled that you've taken out so much value from it, and with a really clear plan to move forward.
Yes, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Lisa.
We'll keep in touch.